Pat's had a bad week. Pat's had a bad week.
To move his offices.
All right, I'm going to call the meeting to order and ask for the roll call, please.
Beaver.
Here?
Joe Stacy is absent. Bruce Hendricks.
Here.
Dan Palmer is absent. And John Getz.
Here.
All right. Thank you very much. I think we have enough for a quorum, don't we? 3 out of 5? Or?
Correct. Yes.
Very good. All right, the first thing on the agenda is the approval of the September 28th, 2017 meeting minutes. Can I have a motion to approve those minutes?
Motion to approve?
Second. Okay, motion to approve and seconded. We have a vote. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None. The meeting minutes of September 28, 2017 have been approved. Next on the agenda is old business, new business. Starting with A, the bike path maintenance budget update. Who would like to?
I think what we'll end up doing is just, everybody can go and give an update on it, and I'll just sit back and listen, because really everything is an update from where we were at before. So I think Dan is carrying the ball on our maintenance budget, since he's got all the cash.
Yeah. Well, we proposed I think a $40,000 budget in the capital program, and that got approved by the board. So our plan right now is to pursue $20,000 from the park district, $20,000 from the village. So we're basically doubling. Right now, we both did 10 for each. We still have to finalize that with the park district. But we had talked after the meeting, and hopefully we'll be able to move in that direction. So we should have a $40,000 budget for next summer. So we'll hopefully be able to get a lot of work done. And the good news is our brush program did get turned over to the waste hauler. So our crews should be freed up, because they didn't even have an opportunity to get it this fall. So next spring, we're still planning to get out on that pipeline bike path and try to get some of that work done ourselves. So it's good news.
Does it look like the park district is on board with increasing their amounts, or they'll contribute?
We have to finalize it. I had talked after the last meeting, and we were throwing around 50,000, 40,000. It sounded like the 20 would be something that might be workable, but we'll have to finalize things. And worst case, we would have 20 and 10, 20 for the village and 10 from the park district. But if our crews are doing the work, that means we're basically buying asphalt, which will help a lot.
Is that Groot? Is that Groot?
Groot. That is, Republic was bought out by Groot, so now Groot is.
Sounds better for a track. Groot.
Yeah.
I am Groot. Galaxy, Guardians of the Galaxy?
Yeah.
Kim, did you have any update from the park district with regards to the capital budget?
I haven't heard of a change. That does come right out of Kelly's budget, so I have made a note to check with her. And then our budget is May 1st,
Okay.
2018.
Yeah, I had talked to Kelly before, but I need to follow up with her, because I wasn't sure where our budget was gonna go either, so, but.
So is the plan to tackle the items on this list that was presented in order based on priority?
Priority, yeah.
Where's the undone portion of the pipeline? Is that by Struckman?
Yes, that
Okay.
piece coming from Struckman North.
Into the park there?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. And then ComEd, I think, was the other big one that we were gonna try to get.
Questions for Dan? Otherwise, with regards to the bike path maintenance budget update? If not, let's move on to item B, DuPage Forest Preserve District Trail Extension meeting update.
I attended the North Central DuPage Regional Trail meeting on November 8th at the Wayne Township offices. The public meeting had pretty good attendance. John was there as well. Basically, they are looking at putting in a 10-foot wide limestone path on the west side of Munger Road, coming down from Forest Preserve Drive to the Prairie Path. They're hoping to do design, engineering, and permitting for 2018 to 2019, and construction expected in 2019 to 2020. So that's pretty much what Jessica had talked about before. That's the route we thought it was going to be. I know there was some public concern at the meeting about it being limestone and not asphalt, and that was something they were going to continue to look at. John, do you have anything to add from?
No, I mean, it was great, it was well-attended, and they said that was the highest attendance for a meeting of that type. So they were pretty excited about it. I was very excited as well. The one thing that I took away from that as well is that there's a section of trail coming off of Woodland Hills Drive, going west on Forest Preserve Drive, that stops about halfway to Munger. There might be some opportunity there to either work with the Forest Preserve or use some budgets to finish that path to pick up where the Forest Preserve is going to start west of Munger.
Is that in Bartlett?
It is, yeah.
Is it?
Yep. And so
It's not in Wayne.
it's not Wayne.
Okay.
So they said that the land there is Forest Preserve land, but there is a right-of-way with Forest Preserve Drive that is maintained and owned by Bartlett. So to kind of couple that with the budget talk, I don't know if that's something that, maybe can be prioritized, or work with the Forest Preserve to see if they can extend their portion of the trail just to connect them up. Otherwise, it's going to be starting, the Forest Preserve Trail is going to be basically starting at Munger and Forest Preserve Drive with no crosswalk to anything.
Right, I think the Forest Preserve looked at that as their connection point at the time that they were looking at this whole trail. And I think the issue is that that's a private trail for that portion that's Woodland Hills.
The issue is working with the Forest Preserve District and the Homeowners Association to make sure we're not having the public directed towards their private bike paths, making sure that there is some sort of way separating the two, and saying anyone that's part of the regional trail, you have to follow our on-road route. And if you're a Woodland Hills resident, the sidewalk's just for you.
That makes sense, but it
Right.
doesn't make any sense, right?
But the same thing was, they wanted to have the crossing of Munger at an intersection as opposed to a mid-block.
Yeah.
Right,
That was the
right. So
other issue.
that is part of their plan, to figure out what type of treatment they're doing for that intersection.
Okay.
Well, our bike paths, all of them across the board, available to the horse riders or the horse?
For the trail itself, the North Central Regional Trail, I don't believe all of them are. I think some segments are for horses and some are not. It depends, because some of the Northwest Regional Trails, even on street routes, like all through Roselle, and what we have in Woodland Hills Drive is just an on-road.
Yeah, the horses are kind of a pet peeve of mine because they poop. And you see a little old lady picking up that Chihuahua poop, and a horse can lay down 5 pounds of it, and they just ride off. And their horse hoofs ruin the trails. The weight of the horse puts dents in the trails when they're wet after a rain. So, I don't know. I guess there's no way around that. It's nice for the horses to have those trails available to them.
Right.
And they can be spooked by a bike smoking around them, which is a chance to throw a rider. And horses bite too, I know that.
All right, other questions about the Forest Preserve? Thank you, John, for going to that meeting, by the way.
Sure.
And you too, Christie. I'm glad we can have people representing us at that meeting. I know I simply don't have the time to do it. Update on the bike path map.
All right. The last official time that we did the bike map updates was when the West Bartlett Road Corridor Plan was adopted. And right now, community development staff's currently updating the comprehensive plan. So we thought this was an opportune time to start looking at the bike path map and seeing if there's any changes that we need to make. In your packets, you should have all gotten large-scale bike path maps that show what's currently on our proposed plan. Some of the paths, anything that's dashed is proposed.
Any of these dashed ones recently proposed? Because I've been looking at this and I don't remember, maybe because I just don't remember, the checked path from Bartlett Road through the horse farm.
Right.
Comes out through 59 and crosses over to Munger.
That was in the West Bartlett Road Corridor Plan.
West Bartlett Road
Road
Corridor.
Corridor Plan. And that's one of the ones that we're thinking should probably be removed
Right.
from the plan.
I
But with
see.
staff can't just remove things. There's a lot of environmental issues with doing it there, and to do a bridge over Route 59 was something that we've gotten some feedback that it's just not feasible at that location.
Oh, really? Okay.
So that was one of the things. We also, our previous bike plan never incorporated any on-street routes or any bike lanes, anything like that. So that's something that we could look into as well. It was previously only for bike paths and not really a bikeway plan. So at our next meeting, we'd like to start, having you guys come back with some ideas. We'll also have public input, obviously, as part of the comp plan, but it's something we want to start looking at to make sure what we have out there is something that the village is currently supporting. So,
I kind of looked at it and thought, oh, that's cool, but,
Yeah, I like the idea too.
yeah,
I know there's wetland there, though.
right.
yes,
So that would be hard, that's very difficult
yes.
to,
That would be just the,
It'd be
expensive.
and it's a large wetland, so.
Yeah.
that could just be the wet part of riding the bike through the water.
Right. So that's the update. So we just wanted to give you guys the maps. Feel free to mark them up. If you want more copies, let us know. So,
So you want to review this at the next meeting, or?
Yes.
Because I've kind of marked mine up already. Do you want it now, or?
we could take it now. We could take it now, and we can, if you guys want to have stuff that you give to us in advance, we could kind of put everyone's ideas together and have that ready for you at the next meeting.
Sure.
See, it's nice having new members, overachievers.
Yes, I like this.
Great, we like that. All right, next on the agenda, Cook County Grant Award update.
Well, we recently, at the last board meeting, approved the engineering agreement between the village and Engineering Resources Associates. So they'll begin, we have a meeting with them in January, and then they'll start the design process and permitting, and we're hoping that'll be done by the latest October. And then I'll be applying for the construction part of the grant in March. So it'll be a little bit of guesswork as far as the exact amount, but we should have a pretty decent idea.
Okay,
You're flooded with cash right now, right? All the pre-tax money rolling in.
All right.
If you don't itemize, part of it's distraction. If you don't itemize, you don't need to worry about that. No, I mean, there's a lot of people who don't realize that.
Yeah.
any questions concerning the Cook County Grant Award for Tyler? John, Bruce,
How much was it?
how much were we trying to get, Tyler?
We requested and got 75,000, and the agreement was for a little bit under that.
That's for the engineering only. And
Yeah, for the
What,
engineering.
that's for engineering only, so we got that covered already. Now it's the construction, which is what Tyler was talking about. We'll be applying in March for the construction portion. That's gonna be, we don't know yet, but it's probably a few $100,000.
I would,
And this is the West Bartlett and Devon
Yep.
area right there?
Good. Well, moving right along, if there's questions, just let me know. Kickstand Classic 2, October 1st, 2017, bike race wrap-up.
We, as many of you know, we worked with Active Transportation again this year and put together another successful bike race, over 600 participants. Things went really well. They had good participation on the different levels of skill, including the real fast people, but the one group that was the Davis-Finney group, they kind of backed out of it. That was the dedicated, 500-mile riders, and they backed out at the last minute, probably due to they didn't have enough people sign up as they anticipated. So, actually, I think it went as good or better than the first one. It was a decent day. It wasn't quite as warm, but there was a lot of beer still handed out, I know that, and a lot of pizza at the end. So the discussion at the wrap-up meeting was, do we do it again next year? And Active Trans, I guess, hinted at the fact that they still aren't making the dollar amount that they targeted for in terms of it being a fundraiser for them. Even though we participated, we actually reduced our costs this year. So I just put out an email to them yesterday, and they're kind of on break, and because we need it for our budgeting to know if we're going to move forward and set the date. So the jury's still out on that. They had no problem with the staff, no problem with anything. Things went well. They're just not making as much as they anticipated. So, and I'm not privy to all their budgets and how much they expect to make out of it, but I think that Davis-Finney group, I think they were into it for like 10,000 guaranteed, so they would have been that much more money, but didn't happen. So it was a nice race. We're still hopeful that it'll continue on, and we'll get word. It's kind of their call if they want to participate, but our village and park district and township and everybody's on board with it. So fire department, so we kind of have it ironed out that we know what to do. And we got a young police sergeant who's took it over from Jeff Perkelis, and he handled it just as well. And once you do these things, you kind of know the ins and outs. And we had a lot of volunteers from the Baptist Temple and the high school and everything. So that's all in place.
Kind of what I don't want to misinterpret what I think I'm hearing you saying, is that regardless of whether I just forgot the name of the group. What's the group?
Active Transportation.
Active Transport does it. It looks like something that we could carry on if we wanted to. Is that what you're saying?
If carrying on their end of it means doubling our costs, though, too. That's the thing. We shared 16. It's the fixed costs of the race from our end and their end, with police, public works, fire, barricades, advertising, is roughly about $32,000, and we've shared that with them. If we want to take on all of that and do that, that's a decision the board would have to make. But the good thing with them is they have the outreach. They know all that. I'm sure we could generate as many people locally, but, getting the bigger riders from outside, I don't know, So we're going to have to just wait and see what their feedback is.
And sponsorships and everything they
Sponsorship.
have as well, so that'd be something that we would have to work on as a village.
But we got several of the sponsors this year.
But I mean, like the beer,
That they got that.
they do all the registration packets and,
Right.
and T-shirts and all that, so those are things that would have to be
Costs that they
taken
pick
into account of,
Right.
I'm sure it's part of that account, that 32,000, but
Yeah.
it's a lot of work, for sure.
Right. But, I mean, it's a community event that I think brings people into town, that is just building, and people enjoy, they like it. And so I'd hate to see, even if Active Transport doesn't decide that it's not making money, I think over time it might, and there might be other service organizations that might come together and take it over. I mean, you could put the Lions Club and the Rotary Club together and potentially, bring in some money or do things. I mean, anything's possible. Or maybe another biking organization. They certainly can't be the only biking organization out there.
They're probably the most known in this area, but yeah, you're right, you know.
So hopefully they'll be on board, because I think it's been a good event in town. I think all three of us have ridden in it, right?
Yeah, I think it's a great event, and you're just doing the numbers. So I heard the term sold out. Was the 600, was that the capacity that they could cover?
That's what they termed as sold out. They could do more, but I don't think they gear up to do more.
I think they were hoping, I think, to have closer to 1,000 riders,
Yeah, okay.
but once they saw what their numbers were, they only brought enough materials to have about 600 riders. So that, like all the timing chips and all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. So they consider it sold out because they did sell out of everything that they brought.
Okay, okay. Okay, because 600 riders times $60 a rider is, you know, $36,000. I know that's not a big margin there, but I don't know what their margins were. And those timing devices, I don't know if that was included, because those probably aren't cheap in the whole timing mechanism, but,
I think that is included in their.
oh, is it? Okay.
Their application and all that, so.
Well, I thought it was a great
I don't know
event.
if they get those donated or how they
Yeah.
pay for that, so.
And some of their riders they allowed younger kids, and so their registration fees were less. So I think
True,
they
yeah.
lost some money
Yep,
on doing that, with everyone getting a shirt and that kind of stuff.
yeah, okay.
So,
It's a nice tradition, though.
it's nice. I did it with my daughter.
I hate to see it abandoned because Transportation Alliance not making any money. And that would allow to hang Bartlett's name on it if we just took it over. And it'd be an annual event that would be advertising for the community, you know, this is our event. We don't have to worry about that money-making part of it. The timing device, mine didn't go over 4 hours, so. Must have been-
You know, Active Trans, their other main fundraiser is Bike the Drive,
Right.
which has tens of thousands of riders. So that's, if they're comparing the finances to that, well, obviously,
Yeah, right.
okay,
I think that's what they do.
yeah.
Compare that ride, and
Yeah.
that's just, there's no comparison to the two.
Okay. Any other questions, thoughts? We're good? Then item F, train station bike shelter grant approval.
I'll do it. So we partnered with a few other towns in DuPage County to apply for additional bike racks, and also, which will be throughout the village. We had a map of some of the locations for those, and then also adding a bike rack shelter at the train station. The grant was approved. It's a 75-25 split. I can pass around what our bike racks and what the shelter will look like. The shelter is going to be open-sided from what the spec sheet kind of looks like. There's like a glass or plexiglass enclosures. It's going to be open, but it will be covered. So we can pass that. It's going to be colors similar to the metro station so that it blends in. So I know Dan said that we're planning on doing the installation in-house in the fiscal year 2018 or 19, so.
The locations are in a map, an 11 by 17 map in your packet.
So they had to be on public property, so that was one of the restrictions that we had. So we have it at the train station, kind of the parking lot over by Banbury Fair, which is village-owned, some at Town Center, one at Ruzika, 2 at Ruzika Field, and then 2 at Kohler Fields. So we tried to put it at places we thought people would be bicycling, and in our downtown.
The canopy is only going to be at the Metro.
Correct.
How are these 11 these 11 placements for these 11 racks, how was that determined, or just?
Staff went out and looked to see where we already had like concrete pads. So
Yeah,
that
oh, I see.
That kind of stuff was done. Where we had available space, we wanted stuff along existing bike paths so that it was in an area where there's kinds of places of interest that people would be biking to, that maybe they wouldn't bike there if they just had to leave their bike laying somewhere for a while.
Those positions aren't set in stone, though. I mean, if you had a recommendation, for whatever reason, as an avid biker about places to be, I'm sure we could at least talk
Right.
about that, right?
Right, yeah. I mean, we looked to see if some places we thought we could put them, and then we're like, oh, they already have a ton of bike racks at this. Like, we looked at the library, they already have a lot of bike racks. We looked at some of the different parks that had bike racks. to make sure that we weren't doubling our efforts. But yeah, we'd be open to input.
Just my only, and to follow on that, my only thought was at the Bartlett Aquatic Center, I've ridden my bike there with my family, and there was no bike rack space. There was a rack there, but it was full, so people were locking their bikes to the fence. So I don't know if that's an opportunity to, think about that, and maybe, because that's really a summertime, a fixed time frame, if they can be moved or something to think about.
Well,
It's the lady.
Yeah, this past summer, yeah.
Park District.
There's a nice rack there, but it was full, and there were probably already 3 or 4 bikes chained to the fence, so we chained ours to the fence too.
Thank you.
Bike thievery is a pretty big, pretty common event. People steal bikes. If the bike racks are located in a place where they, by chance, have secondary video coverage, or that at least the threat of that, supposed threat, would discourage someone from taking bikes if they're left there for a long time. I don't know if we have any live video in Bartlett or not, anywhere.
You'll never know.
Oh, yeah.
It's a secret.
Especially guys like me, probably.
There's a few spots.
Yeah, there's a couple.
This, what do we call it, the, not pavilion, but
canopy?
canopy, that's going to be at the Metra tracks, right? Is this the canopy with the west side inbound Metra platform? So that's going to be over by TL's,
No, it will be right by the train station.
right by the
Right.
train station.
So it's going to be on the south, it's going to be on the south side of the
On
tracks.
the south side of the station itself?
Yes,
Just west of the station,
just west of the station.
the north side of Railroad. There's a big concrete
see.
area. We're trying to see if it'll fit right there.
Okay.
It looks great, I think.
Yeah, and then, I guess even in the wintertime, it'd be useful for people being outside, just wanting to have a place to get out of the wind when they're trying to wait for the train, I suppose. Can be a little cold out there if the station isn't open. All right. Let's get where we're at here. All right, IDNR grant update.
The funds are still on hold per the governor, so there's no update beyond that.
The engineer who did that project, I think, retired.
Yeah, our contact at IDNR, one of our contacts at IDNR retired.
Right.
But we have a new grant administrator, but we still send in our quarterly updates, and
Never know.
we're it's just a waiting game.
Right.
Okay, questions about the IDNR?
Is there the ability to mow that? Because I know that IDNR, there was also the talk of connecting Kohler to the trail there.
That's what this is.
That's mowed, that's already mowed, but there's the connection between Lakewood Mills and the trail? Is that the majority of the funding going to go towards?
Yeah, it's for those two linkages.
Just,
Yeah.
that's what it is.
What I'm saying is Kohler, there's a little, I don't know, 50-foot extension that's currently mowed. So you can get off the trail and get to Kohler now. Can they mow that trail to Lakewood Mills in the interim?
We
We
could
have to
ask
ask them to do that.
IDNR. That's
I know that
IDNR
they
property.
did mow it. Yeah, we'll just have to talk to them and ask.
Okay.
I think the Park District maintains that area, but I'm not sure if you just maintain the center and not the grounds. I'm never sure how that
Baseball.
actually works.
Kohler isn't the big portion is baseball takes care of it.
But do they come in
But
the
I don't
DNR?
think, I don't know who's mowing. I would-
Yeah, I'm not
I
sure
would think
who's
it would
mowing
be
it.
DNR, but, 'cause I don't, DNR doesn't typically want us on their property. but-
Right. Could look into it.
Yeah, we can contact someone at the IDNR offices and see if someone is mowing it, because I know before they didn't want it being mowed.
Yeah, okay.
So it could just be that it's kind of tramp. Does it really look like it's mowed?
Oh, yeah, the connection from Kohler
Yeah,
to the trail, yeah, it's mowed, it's for sure. I don't know if George is the guy that mows there, the Kohler Fields. I don't know if it's him just doing it.
It might be.
Okay, maybe.
Because the DNR encouraged us to apply for it, and they said, yeah, because we see people using those
Yeah.
connections. So we'll have to look into that and see.
I guess Yeah, I mean, the whole thing is with the Lakewood Mills, I mean, I'm sure they want to be, they have that trail that goes and just stops.
It's right there,
Right.
yeah.
If that could at least be mowed in the interim until the path is put in, or the grant is received. Just a thought.
Good luck.
To check it.
Good idea. All right. And last on the list is the Park District update on the bridge at the north end of Beaver Pond. Maybe we should reference our Park District representative.
Yes, I have been given an update that all of the plans were submitted to DuPage County for approval on December 15th, so we are waiting for that. And once we get approval for that, it will go out to bid. So we're just waiting for that approval.
Do we know what kind of design the bridge is going to be? Is it like,
It's a boardwalk. 70-foot boardwalk.
boardwalk?
You know, they were working with an engineering, they had hired an engineering company to come in and consult on that.
Just not a masonry bridge going across the end of the path?
No.
No.
It-
They
it's
submitted
almost like a
permits to our
floating-
department,
It's
too.
almost like it's a suspended boardwalk over the, the wet areas. And so it'll be, probably about that high off of, hopefully, the water, high water level. The same engineer that worked on the DNR grant worked on this project, and he retired. Same guy. But it'll be suspended, and it's a nice, it's 70 feet, as Kim said, that they're, from our standpoint, we were fine with it. We actually reviewed the plans from our end and approved them,
Yesterday, actually.
yeah.
Questions about that bridge? All right, that kind of winds up our old business, new business. Any other new business that needs to be brought up? That was the old business. Any new business that any of the committee members would like to bring up at this time?
Just that we've got our work cut out to us. We'll be implementing a lot of these things, so we'll probably keep that moving forward, and at our next meeting, give you status updates on everything, so.
Good. Looks like we're getting some things accomplished at least, so that's
Yeah,
a good thing. Have a little more in the budget. I was happy to see the board was good with moving forward and giving us a little more money.
Yeah,
Which
great.
Which helps. Hopefully the Park District will also come on board and come up with a little more cash to help with the paths as well. That'd be good. And we'll really be able to see some changes. So our next meeting is March 29th, 2018.
right.
All right. Well, if there are no other responses, no other comments, then for a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion to adjourn?
Second. All right. You're adjourned.
Thank you.